Afternoon, 8th graders. Welcome back to 4.7. We're going to do example 4 in this video segment. I just want to remind you where we've been with this point slope form. Remember in example 1, we learned how to take the slope in a point and plug it into the equation and come up with the equation of a line in point slope form. Remember in example 2, they gave us an equation in point slope form and said graph out of this form, and I showed you how to do that in 2 examples. Example 3, we're starting to get harder because now they're giving us some information and asking us to plug that whatever information is given, but our ultimate answer needs to be in slope-intercept form. And I think, in my opinion, we're getting a little bit harder here. And so it's a lot of steps, and it's hard to memorize steps. And so I'm just really depending on you to use your logic to get to that next place. And that's another example we did. All right now with example 4, all we're going to be given are 2 points. And they want us to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. And so here's the first one. The points 4, 8, and -1, -12 are on a line, and they want us to find the intercepts. And so remember, back a long time ago, beginning of the chapter, the very first form we learned was standard form. In standard form, we did the cover-up method, and we were able to calculate the x-intercept and the y-intercept very easily from that form. And so that's really, as I plan it out, to me, that's the easiest way to find the intercepts is to get our equation into standard form. And let me show you how I would do that. All right, so here's what we're given. 4, 8 is 1 point, and -1, -12 is another. Now, from those 2 points, I can easily calculate slope. So that's what I think I should do, is from here, call one of them point 1, the other one point 2, and plug into the slope formula and calculate the slope. Okay, here we go. So y2 is -12 minus y1 is 8. x2 is -1 minus, and then x1 is 4. Okay, -12 minus 8 is -20, and -1 minus 4 is -5. And I'm going to divide those two, knowing that a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So right away, I just added more information to my arsenal, and I'm just going to write up here that m is 4. Please don't erase. I'm going to erase because I need the space. I don't have enough space here. I didn't create enough for myself. I write really big too, so that's a big problem for me. Okay, now I know not 1 point but 2 points, and now I know the slope because I just calculated it. So let's use our logic. I don't know the y-intercept, but I know the slope. So right this second, I cannot plug into slope-intercept form. That just does not make sense. But what I can plug into with the information given, I can definitely do point slope form. And that I am making that decision based on the information that's given. I look at what I know and make that decision based on what I know. I know 2 points, I know the slope, I can plug into point slope form. I don't need both points, I just need one of them. So the decision is yours. I tend to shy away from negative numbers if I can. Sometimes it's unavoidable. So I have 1 point where I have a positive 4 and a positive 8, and another point where I have a -1 and a -12. It doesn't matter, whatever you're comfortable with. If it doesn't matter, pick either one. If it does matter, and you're like, hey, I'm like Mrs. Thompson, I want to plug in using positive numbers, then you pick the 4, 8 point to plug in. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this point 4, 8. And the 8 is my y1, and remember we just calculated is 4, and my x1 would be 4. Okay? Now, ultimately, remember at the beginning, at the outset, I said, hey, let's try and get these guys to, let's make this equation into standard form. And I can't do that. I can't start moving things around until I get rid of those parentheses. So let's distribute. So I got y minus 8 equals 4x minus 16. And let's get our constant numbers together. So I'm going to add 8 to each side. So actually what I did was what I did in the last example. I turned it into slope-intercept form. Okay, negative 16 plus 8 is of course negative 8. And so this is slope-intercept form. As you can see, y equals mx plus b. And I know one of my intercepts. That's my ultimate goal, is to find the intercepts from this form. Believe it or not, I already know one of the intercepts. One of the intercepts is negative 8. But I'm going to carry you through. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to move it into standard form. Remember, in standard form, we want ax and by on the same side. So that means I've got to move that 4x over. So I'm going to take 4x away from each side, and I'm going to end up with negative 4x plus y is equal to negative 8. Guys, this is the perfect form to determine intercepts, and I totally encourage you to do this. So let's use our cover-up method. Put your pencil tip or your fingertip and hide that y, okay? So hide it, and what you see is negative 4x equals negative 8. Divide each side by negative 4, and what is your x-intercept? Yep, it's 2. You nailed it. All right, now we already know what the y-intercept is. We could see that from slope-intercept form, but you can do the cover-up method. Hide the negative 4x. Now you see y equals negative 8, and there's your 2 intercepts. Looks great. You did a great job. Excellent, excellent job. So that's how I would navigate that type of problem. I definitely would calculate slope first, plug into point slope form, rearrange it to slope-intercept form, and then into standard form. That literally would be my progression. Once it's in standard form, then you can use your cover-up method and find your intercepts. All right, let's try this one. I'm going to call this one this time x2, y2, x1, y1. And we need to know what the slope is. So that's our first step. So we'll do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Remember, y2 is 15 minus y1, which is negative 3. I'll put that in parentheses. That didn't come out so good. All right, x2 is 2 minus x1, which is negative 4. All right, let's take a look. 15 minus a negative 3 is the same thing as 15 plus 3, so that we got 18 there. And 2 minus a negative 4 is the same thing as 2 plus 4, which is 6. So it looks like our slope is 3, and I'm going to write that over here, and I need to do just a little bit of erasing so I can use this space, okay? All right, so now I have my 2 points. As stated before, I tend to stay away from the negative signs, and I'm going to go right into point slope form. I'm going to plug in my point, plug in my slope, and go from there. So I've got y minus 15 equals 3 times x minus 2. Oh, that looks great. There's your point slope form. That's not really going to help you too much to find your intercepts. So let's get rid of the parentheses. Let's turn this whole thing into slope-intercept form. So let's distribute. So we have y minus 15 equals 3x minus 6. And then let's move the 15 over. Let's add 15 to each side. And it looks like our slope-intercept form is y equals 3x plus 9 is what it looks like. Now, once you have slope-intercept form, you know one of your intercepts. You know the y-intercept. So we already know that b is equal to 9. We know that. We can see that from slope-intercept form. But let's go ahead, just humor me. Let's turn it into standard form. So let's get x and y on the same side. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Negative 3x plus y is equal to 9. Okay, use your cover-up method. Use your pencil or your fingertip and put it over the y. Okay, do you see the equation negative 3x is equal to 9? Well, good, solve for x. And x is -3. So there's your x-intercept. Do the same thing, cover up with your pencil or your fingertip, cover up the -3x. Do you see y equals 9? Good, there's your two intercepts. You did a great job. We're getting harder and harder and more complicated in our thought processes. So be patient with yourself. You may have to do some mapping out. How do I get from here to here? You may have to use several different steps. But in summary, for example 4, if I was given 2 points and they were asking me, hey, what's the x-intercept and the y-intercept? This is exactly what I would do. Find the slope, plug into point-slope form, turn it into slope-intercept form, and then turn slope-intercept form into standard form. Use my cover-up method, and I have my intercepts. Hey guys, if you ever have any questions, write them down in the margin. Come to class ready to ask lots of questions. Thanks a lot. We'll see you tomorrow.